Have you ever found yourself in an argument just going back and forth about what someone said, and you realize you've completely lost the plot? Well, today, we're going to dive into a concept from the manual, Communication is Not a Game, that is designed to cut right through all that noise. It's all about the difference between form and content. And I gotta tell you, getting this one thing is the key to basically everything. Nothing and no one can confuse you. I mean, that's a pretty bold promise, right? But the source material is serious. It says this level of clarity is totally possible when you master just one skill, learning to separate what happens from what you decide it means. So let's start with the part we all get tangled up in. All right, part one, the world of form. This is where we live most of the time. It's what we see, what we hear, what we obsess over. And according to this manual, it's pretty much the source of all our problems. So what is form? Simple. It's everything. Anything you can see, hear, touch, or even just think about. It's all the stuff of life. But here's the radical idea, the one you really have to grapple with. On its own, none of that stuff means anything. Let me give you some examples. Think about it. The actual words someone speaks, a text message you get, the amount of money in your bank account, even something as huge as a relationship. These are all just different kinds of form. The book describes them as delivery vehicles, kind of like empty containers. For instance, the 4 words "we need to talk" are just form. They're a totally empty box. But what do? Our minds immediately scramble to stuff that box full of meaning, which brings us to the biggest, most mind-bending idea of all. And here it is. This is a core truth principle from the book, All Form is Totally, Completely, 100% Meaningless. By itself, it means nothing. Not the words "I love you," not a missed phone call, not getting a raise at work. On their own, they are neutral. They're blank slates. So the big question is, if all of this is meaningless, where in the world does meaning actually come from? And yeah, that is the perfect question, isn't it? It's the one that leads us to the other side of the equation. Because if we've been looking for meaning in all the wrong places, out there in the world of stuff, we need to look somewhere else entirely to find the real source. So let's talk about content. This is the game changer. See, content isn't about what happens to you, it's about the thought system that's happening in you. It's the internal lens we use to give meaning to all that neutral form we were just talking about. And here is where something that sounds really complex becomes beautifully simple. You see, while the world of form is infinite, endless words, actions, situations, the world of content is not. In fact, there are only 2. Just 2 fundamental thought systems you can use to interpret absolutely everything. What are they? On one side, you've got love. This is the thought system of true communication, of trust, of clarity. It's where freedom and happiness live. And on the other side, you've got fear. And that's the thought system of miscommunication, distrust, confusion, and all the misery that comes with it. Every single neutral thing that happens in your life gets its meaning from one of these 2 places inside of you. It is never the thing itself that causes your experience. It's always the content you choose. Look, here's the easiest way to lock this in. Form is the what. It's what you're thinking about, the relationship, the email, the conversation. Content is the how. It's how you are choosing to think about it. Are you coming from a place of love, or are you coming from a place of fear? The what is out there and it's neutral. The how is in you, and it's everything. So how do these 2 big ideas, form and content, actually relate to each other? Well, there's a golden rule that explains the whole relationship, and it's best explained with a really simple but powerful metaphor. Okay, I want you to imagine that any form, a text, a meeting, a conversation, is just an empty cup. The cup itself is totally neutral, right? It's just a cup. What really matters is the liquid you decide to pour inside it. You can choose to fill that cup with water, which represents the content of love. It's nourishing, it connects, it gives life. Or you can fill it with gasoline, which represents the content of fear. And that's toxic, destructive, and flammable. The form is just the vessel. The content you provide is what defines the entire experience. And this right here is the golden rule. It is the most important truth principle in this whole system. Form cannot cause content, ever. An empty cup cannot magically create the water inside of it. In exactly the same way, no form, no words, no action, no event can make you feel happy or miserable. It simply cannot cause your content. So, what does this all mean for us? This is where this whole lesson becomes so empowering. It completely shifts the focus from being a victim of what happens to you to being the creator of your own experience. This is the final, most important question we have to ask. If your boss's email didn't make you anxious and your partner's text didn't make you happy, what on earth did? You did. You are the one with the power of decision. At every single moment of every single day, you are the one choosing which liquid, love or fear, to pour into all the neutral containers of your life. That is where all of your power is. So the path to true, real communication, it's not about learning the perfect thing to say. It's an internal process, and it's just 3 steps. Step 1, you have to recognize that whatever is happening, the words, the situation, is neutral. Step 2, you own your power of decision to choose what that situation is for. And step 3, the big one, you have to set the goal for love before you ever interact. You decide ahead of time that the purpose of this interaction is going to be connection, not conflict. And here is a critical warning. This is not a passive process. Our default setting, our autopilot, is fear. So if you don't consciously and deliberately choose to set the goal for love, your mind will automatically default back to a state of fear. And that just guarantees miscommunication. The choice has to be active. So that's the ultimate takeaway, really. True power and clarity don't come from trying to control the chaotic world of form around you. They come from choosing the content within you. So before your next text, your next phone call, your next meeting, just ask yourself this one simple question. What goal will I set? Because in the end, that choice is everything.